This is the Louie T Network.
See, first come the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then my team was 6-10, and we ain't smell the playoffs. Yeah, I seen the Super Bowl, but I heard they just play balls. A lot of teams had injuries. Sam Bradford had to take off. Go hard in the offseason, but you don't know the half. Before you know, we gon' look up, and we ready for the draft. They dressed up in that suit top, and I don't know how to act. They waiting, so patient, so they can put on that hat. Who else could it be? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks you where you was at, you tell her you in the lab room. Who else could it be? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks where you was at, you can tell her you was in the lab room. Yeah.
We're back with the part 2 edition of the Hurry Up offense for week number 7 in the National Football League. Off to Indy we go. Saints at the Colts. Saints coming off a huge victory on Thursday Night Football last week versus the Atlanta Falcons. Meanwhile, we got the Indianapolis Colts coming off of a loss to the Patriots. No shame in losing to the Patriots. It's how they lost that game with the whole special teams snafu and gaffe. This organization right now in total disarray, and I thought the start to this game was indicative of where this team is right now, where this franchise and organization is right now. If you're the Saints, you're looking to piggyback off the momentum gained with that win last week against the Atlanta Falcons. And I actually thought that the Saints came out, let's start with the Saints. I thought they came out in this game with a sense of urgency. They came out like a desperate football team. They were the aggressors in this football game. Sean Payton challenged 2 calls early in the game. Now, I wouldn't have challenged both of those, and he ultimately lost both of those challenges. However, it showed aggressiveness. They faked the field goal. Beautiful throw by Luke McCown to tight end Ben Watson to set up the first touchdown of the game by Kyrie Robinson. Then you get a Stephon Anthony pick of Andrew Luck deep in Colts territory, leads to another Kyrie Robinson touchdown. It's 14-0 before you even had a chance to blink in this ball game. Saints came out with an initiative and they took it straight to the Colts, who were unprepared in this football game to start. I thought Ingram had a heck of a day, and I've been one that's been banging the table for Kyrie Robinson to get more touches. Ingram said, hey, don't forget about me. I just got the contract. I'm ready to rock and roll. 14 carries, 143 yards, and a touch in this game. He had a huge 44-yard run, and I thought he should have scored on. I will give him a little bit of slack. I'll cut him a little bit of slack. His ankles were hit, and he was starting to trip and fall. I thought he should have been able to cut back against the grain and get into the end zone. He'd been able to walk into the end zone, had a blocker out in front. He just wasn't able to change directions, maybe because of him starting to stumble a little bit. But the reason why I bring that up, that he should have scored, is because 3 plays later, Drew Brees throws an interception to Vontae Davis in the back of the end zone. No points for the Saints on that possession. He scores a touchdown there. It's 27-0, and I think the game's over at that point. Saints ultimately go up 27-0 to start the second half. However, if he scores there, it makes it 27-0 before the halftime break. They come out, score the touchdown after halftime, and it's 34-0. That game is over, and the Saints are going to run away with this one, and Indy never has a chance in this game. But despite all of that, okay, it's 20-0 after the interception thrown to Vontae Davis. Saints pour it on coming out of the second half break with a gorgeous drive. It was spearheaded by Mark Ingram. It was capped off by a Mark Ingram touchdown run to make it 27-0. At this point, you're thinking this game is over. However, the Saints couldn't quite put the Colts away. And the reason why is because they started to unravel on the defensive side of the football. Delvin Breaux fell down twice on 2 deep balls to T.Y. Hilton, both going for touchdowns to allow the deficit to be cut to 27-14. Then you got rookie Bobby Richardson doing dumb stuff, senseless personal foul penalty, spearing a guy while he's on the ground, giving the Colts opportunities. These type of mistakes happen when you're not a good football team. Again, high football IQ is going to win you football games. You don't have high football IQ, you're going to make mistakes like this, and it's going to ultimately cost you ball games. They got lucky in this one, but again, can't have those mistakes happening if you want to be a winning outfit. Cam Jordan, he's coming on. 5 sacks in the last 2 games. Had a field day against the Falcons on Thursday night. 3 sacks of Matt Ryan. Had 2 more sacks of Andrew Luck in this game. 5 for him in the last 2 ball games. He's starting to come on, and they need him. This defense is extremely young. They need a leader on that side of the football. Cam Jordan looks like he's going to step up and be that guy. Huge completion for Drew Brees. 3rd down at their own 1-yard line. Airs it out to Brandon Cooks, who goes and gets the football. That was a huge play in the game, flip field position. And then you also have the big throw on 3rd down late in the ball game to Colston to put it away, as the Saints were able to hold off a very lively Colts team at the end of the ball game. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Colts and how they were able to climb back in this game and make it competitive. Costly mistakes early by the Colts and Andrew Luck. You got interception by Luck to Stephon Anthony to give the Saints another opportunity to score a touchdown and extend the lead out to 14-0. You got a DeQuell Jackson penalty negating a Vontae Davis interception. They would later score on that possession. So again, you can't have those type of mistakes if you are the Indianapolis Colts. You're struggling right now. You need things to go in your favor. You can't have those kind of mistakes if you are the Indianapolis Colts. Then Griff Whalen on the ensuing kickoff after you go down 14-0. Toss it up on the kickoff return. Saints recover the football. They go down and get more points to make it 20-0. I mean, those are the type of mistakes that, again, when you're struggling, you can't have them. And really, any team can't afford to have those type of mistakes. But when you're in the state that the Colts are in right now, which is total disarray, you can't have those type of mistakes and expect to win. Andrew Luck's first completion didn't come in this game until 9:08 in the second quarter. That's how bad the Colts were struggling offensively. That's how the turnovers were affecting them. They didn't have the football in this game. Saints controlled much of the first half, and the score really indicated just how badly the Colts were dominated in the first half. Terrible interception by Andrew Luck right before the half to erase a point opportunity. Another 2 interceptions for him in this game. Andrew Luck struggling. You could blame it on the injury. You can blame it on the offensive line. There's so many mitigating factors right now as to why he's struggling in Indy. I can't even begin to go into all of them right now. I'd be here for at least an hour. So there's a lot of things wrong with the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of fundamentally things wrong with this football team. Andrew Luck not playing his best football either. T.Y. Hilton, though, 2 bombs in the second half. Brings the Colts back to 27-14 to end the third quarter. So you start to see a little bit of life out of the Colts heading into the fourth quarter. Pat Mack is awesome. You already know that. I don't have to tell you, but he had some really big kicks, pinning the Saints deep in their own territory. He also had a beautiful onside kick that gave the Colts a chance in this game. He does a lot of things that really helps this team out. And they needed all the help they could get in this game. Ultimately, Colts cut the lead to 27-21. They give themselves a chance. They need a stop defensively to get the football back. They cannot get it. Colston, with his only catch of the game, was a huge one on 3rd down and 7 to put the game away, as the Saints hang on after leading 27-0. Barely hang on, 27-21 in the football game. Big win for the Saints. They go to 3-4 on the season. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts drop to 3-4 on the season. But again, their division doesn't matter. They're fine. They're going to win this division. But it's a lot wrong. And right now I'm hearing rumblings that Chuck Pagano could be fired at the Week 10 bye for this Colts football team. Stay tuned. That drama is just getting started in Indy. You move on to the next matchup. The Oakland Raiders taking on the San Diego Superchargers. This was one of the biggest surprises of week number 7 in the National Football League. Didn't see this one coming. I don't think even Raiders fans saw this one coming. You can sit here and act as if you did, but you didn't. I mean, this game was 37-6 at one point. And so, and not for the Chargers, for the Raiders. I mean, this game got out of control, and it just seemed like it happened so rapidly. Start with the Raiders in this game. Raiders coming off the bye week, feeling good about where they are. Thought they let a game slip away right before the bye against Denver. So they come out of the bye, and they were hungry. They came out like a pack of wolves. They attacked the Chargers in this football game. The Chargers simply weren't ready for what the Raiders were bringing to them early on in this ball game. Fast start for the Raiders. Malcolm Smith with an interception of Phillip Rivers. It was a poor throw by Rivers. He forced it. There was an easy check down, swing route out in the flats that would have picked up the first down. Instead, he tries to force the football in the slot. It's tipped up into the air. Malcolm Smith, Johnny on the spot, picks it off, takes it deep into Chargers territory, right around the 2-yard line. Latavius Murray caps off that drive with the touchdown. And before you know it, it's 10-0 Oakland early in this football game. Speaking of Latavius Murray, thought he was running very effectively early in this ball game. He ended up with 15 carries for 85 yards and the touch that I just mentioned. He was really strong in this game. I'd like to see him touch it more on the ground. And I thought they really spread it around though. And Tywan Jones, with his best game at the running back position, I thought he did some good things running the football. And we know about the porous run defense of the Chargers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But there are so many things the Raiders did well in this game. You have to feel very encouraged if you're a Raiders fan. Coming away from this game, you did so many things well in this football game. You got to clean up the penalties though. For all of the good things that you did do in this game, you had a lot of penalties that normally would be back-breaking for this Raiders team because you played so well in other facets of the game. You were able to overshadow the fact that you had some really bad penalties. Donald Penn had a couple of personal foul penalties, had another one on Alden Smith. There were some personal foul penalties, some untimely penalties in this game that could have cost you had this game been a lot closer. Raiders need to clean up the penalties. Amari Cooper, my goodness. When the ball's in the sky and your QB needs a guy, it's somebody. That guy was special in this game. And that's what a #1 wide receiver can do for you. Now, he showed me some things that I didn't know he could do. That deep ball down the field that Derek Carr, the 4 Carr, just threw up and said, hey, go make a play for me, Amari. Hey, #1, go make a play for me. That's big boy football. I didn't see him climb the ladder like that, not one single time at Alabama. He went up the ladder, climbed, came down with the football, made a play on a 3rd and 14. That is big boy football at its best. And he made plays. The wide receiver screen for a touchdown. He was outstanding in this game. 5 catches, 133 yards, and a touch. He set the tempo, I thought, on the offensive side of the football. Along with Crabtree, a lot of his plays were made early in the ball game. I thought Amari Cooper was huge in this game. Good to see DJ Hayden get a pick. A lot of things, like I said, a lot of things went well for the Raiders in this game. And I think DJ Hayden starting to really build some confidence. Raiders fans want to see that. Good interception. Bad throw by Phillip Rivers. Good interception by DJ Hayden. Clyde Walford starting to become a part of this offense. Beautiful throw by the 4 Carr up the sideline on a wheel route for Clyde Walford to get in the end zone. Another big catch for Walford later on in the game. He's starting to integrate himself into this offense. And if they can get production from the tight end position, I like Michael Rivera, but he's not special. Clyde Walford has an opportunity to be special. If they can start getting production from him, this Raiders offense can be that much better. They've got some pieces along that Raiders offense. They're starting to put it together now. Derek Carr was outstanding in this game. Only 7 incompletions on the afternoon. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 289 yards passing. Derek Carr starting to get dialed in Oakland. This is a team that is extremely dangerous, and you really don't know what you're getting from week to week with the Raiders. But if they can play like this more consistently, this is going to be a dangerous team out west in the AFC West. Oakland Raiders were dominant in this game. And don't let the score fool you, okay? This game was not close for 3 quarters. Let's jump into San Diego. Bad start by the Chargers, okay? Interception to Malcolm Smith on the first possession of the game. Hands to the face penalty on 2nd and 22 for the Raiders. Okay, so you got the Raiders backed up. They had a penalty of their own to force them in a 2nd and 22 situation. You get a hands to the face penalty. It was going to be 3rd and 22. And you're gonna force a stop, basically, is what I'm trying to tell you. You go out, get a hands to the face penalty, give them an automatic first down. They end up getting a field goal on that possession to make it 10-0. Bad start to the game for the Chargers. Then, if you want to know how you fall behind in a football game quickly, especially when you're at home, this is how you do it. First 6 possessions of the game for the Chargers, 2 interceptions, 3 3-and-outs, and a field goal. That was it. That was the extent of the points scored. That was the extent of the offensive production for the San Diego Chargers early in this ball game. 6 possessions, 3 of them 3-and-outs. The other 3 consisted of 2 interceptions and your lone points early in this ball game. with a field goal. So they were struggling, and that's an understatement for the Chargers. After the offensive showing we saw from them last week against Green Bay, Phillip Rivers throwing for over 500 yards, throwing it over 60 times in the game, you expected them to come out clicking on all cylinders, and to see the offensive or lack thereof production that we got in this game was just mind-boggling. I actually couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm like, what happened to the offense? Who is this Max, man? I don't know that guy wearing the number 17 jersey. Who is he? So, give some credit to the Raiders. They forced the issue, they forced some of that, but Phillip Rivers was just off in this game. Their run defense is horrendous. It's terrible. They gotta fix it. And you can talk about Eric Weddle being out, and I thought Eric Weddle being out really had a big impact in the secondary. Like Amari Cooper going up for that big ball down the field on 3rd and 14. If Eric Weddle's in the game, because the safety was actually over the top. I don't think Derek Carr even knew the safety was there. He thought Amari Cooper was wide open. Safety comes over, Jimmy Wilson, but he didn't make a play on the football. If Eric Weddle's there, that's an interception. That's a broken up pass. It's not a completion. So I thought his impact was felt not being in the lineup. However, that has no excuse for what they're doing against the run. They're terrible. Speaking of against the run, they can't run the football. What happened to Gordon not seeing the field until the fourth quarter? I know he's had some fumbling issues and he was a little banged up in that Packers game, but I mean, look, Brendan Oliver is nice, but he's not a game changer. They need some production out of the running back position. Phillip Rivers threw it another 58 times in this game. That is a losing recipe most times for any quarterback, unless your name's Brady or Rodgers. I wouldn't advise you to do that. So they've got a lot of things they need to clean up in San Diego, and this is another AFC West team that is proving me wrong. I've said, man, the Chargers are not a 2-4 football team, and they're going to prove it in this game. Same thing I said about the Chiefs when they were playing the Bears, when they were 1-3, or I think it was 1-3, and they lost that game. Chargers do the same thing to me. I just don't really know what's going on in the AFC West. Really bad division. When you look at it, top to bottom, this division is not as strong as I thought it was going to be. Gates didn't play. That hurt them on the offensive side as well. It was 30-6 at halftime, folks. I mean, the Raiders took it to this Chargers football team, tacked on another touchdown to start out the second half to make it 37-6, and this game was over. They took their foot off the gas pedal, allowed the Chargers to cut it to a one-score game with 6 seconds left in the football game, but this game was done. It was decided in the first half when it was 30-6. Raiders win this football game 37-29. A big win for the Raiders. I mean, they go on the road to a family member's house, kick the door in, and savagely assault the San Diego Chargers. If you're the Chargers, I don't really know where this season is going, but this was a disappointing effort at home versus the Raiders, a team that you have really handled over the last 6 or 7 meetings. You struggled in this game, and that's an understatement. This is a really bad loss for a Chargers team that thought their season still had some life after they went out and really played a competitive ball game out in Green Bay a week ago. We move on to the next game. Minnesota at Detroit. More family business this time. NFC North variety. Look, Vikings already beat up the Lions once this season. Lions get their first win last week. You're thinking maybe they can build off the momentum, getting that first win versus the Bears last week. It looked like early in the game that was going to be the case. Let's talk about how the Vikings were able to turn the tide, come out with another W versus this struggling Lions football team. Blair Walsh starting to heat up. 53-yard field goal early in the game. Started 2 of 2 in this game. He did miss an extra point, but on the day, 5 of 5 from field goal distance. Look, I'm telling you right now, if the Vikings are going to make a move this season and try to make a push for the postseason, he's going to be an integral part of this football team. The Vikings have never struck me as a team that's going to light the scoreboard up. They're never going to be a team that you can rely on to score 30-plus points on a consistent basis. They need every single point they can get. Blair Walsh is going to be huge if they're going to win football games this season. Good to see him starting to get back on track. And so he accounted for their first 2 scores of the game. They were down 14-6 early in this ball game, but again, if he would have missed one of those kicks, could have changed the tide of this game. Maybe the outcome is not the same, but he was on in this game, and that's what they're going to need from him moving forward. Vikings defense with some breakdowns that allowed the Lions to jump out to an early lead. You got a wide open Megatron down the field on the first possession, leads to a Megatron touchdown. You got a wide open Easy E, Eric Ebron down the field, leads to an Easy E touchdown later on the drive. They ran the football, did the Lions early to start this game. I just thought the Vikings came out a little flat on the defensive side of the football, allowed the Lions to build a little bit of confidence. Fumble exchange from Teto and AD leads to a field goal for the Detroit Lions, and it's 17-6. It looks like maybe the Lions have found something here. But Teto and that offense would get going. He had a monster day throwing the football, over 300 yards to Teto. Teto has found himself a new #1 receiver. I've been talking about this kid all season long. Stephon Diggs, aka Swaggy D, with a big deep ball catch for a touchdown, diving stab, one of the best catches of the week. He went over 100 yards in this game, 6 catches, 108 yards, and his first career NFL touchdown. This kid is starting to emerge. Every week, it just seems to be getting better and better, and he's a guy that Teddy is starting to look for, and he's going to get the football to on a week-in, week-out basis. AD, huge. Personal 75-yard run. Really started them in that fourth quarter, gave Blair Walsh another opportunity to put points on the scoreboard, make it 25-17. 22 unanswered points by the Vikings in this game. And really they stifled the Lions' offensive attack. Lions stopped running the ball for some inexplicable reason, and they started to put everything on the shoulders of Matthew Stafford, which with that horrendous offensive line in front of him, not a good idea. 7 sacks for the Vikings on the day and a ton other hits on Stafford. Remember, the first time these two teams played, they beat up Matthew Stafford, injured his shoulder. They did some more damage to him in this game. It was rough watching him take the beating that he took in this game. You move on to the Detroit Lions. They make it look easy on the first 2 drives. And again, it was a nice, healthy balance of run and pass early in the ball game. Easy looks for Matthew Stafford because the run game opened up some holes there and guys were running free. Gets a nice little catch. Easy E running free in the secondary. Just like that, it's 14-3 early in this ball game. Lions turned the Vikings fullback Zach Line loose. And again, when your team's struggling, you can't give up easy freebies. That's a big game to a fullback. That can't happen. And that ends up setting up a Kyle Rudolph touchdown. One-handed grab. Beautiful catch by Kyle Rudolph in the end zone. Kind of an errant throw by Teto, but he reeled it in and missed the extra point, 17-12. And the Vikings' first punt of the game didn't come till 8:45 in the fourth quarter. Now, don't want to make it sound like they were dominating on the offensive side of football, but a ton of field goals, a touchdown sprinkled in there, but also you had the fumble exchange by Teto. But still, that just gives you a little bit of insight as to what is wrong with this Lions football team. They're not getting stops, not getting off the field on third down. I remember when this was one of the best third down defenses in all of the National Football League. Now they can't get a stop and force a team to punt the football any longer. And they were really hurt. Like I said, 22 unanswered points by the Vikings in this game. And that's indicative of them not punting until the fourth quarter with 8 minutes and 45 seconds left for the first time in the game. So that tells you all you need to know. Lions failed to challenge a Megatron catch. He goes up over about 3 defenders, catches the football. I really, in my heart of hearts, believe that ball crossed the goal line. And I'm challenging that. If I'm Jim Caldwell, why he doesn't challenge? It's unexplainable to me. Inexplicable. He doesn't. You got to challenge that. He doesn't. And so they can't get in from the 6-inch yard line. They have the ball first and goal from the 6-inch yard line, and they can't get in. And that's where this offensive line is right now. This team is struggling up front. And they lose this football game 28-19 due to the Detroit Lions. They fire two offensive line coaches and the offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi after the game. And rightfully so. I'm not one to advocate for guys losing their jobs, but this offensive line is putrid. Their OC, Joe Lombardi, I think he was in over his head. And you could tell the play calling was sketchy. I don't think look, when your offensive line isn't good enough, you have to make adjustments. Quick throws, bubble screens, slants, quick hitters. Get the football out of Matthew Stafford's hands quickly. They ran the football effectively early in this game, and then all of a sudden, inexplicably, they stopped. And they just start throwing the football exclusively with Matthew Stafford again. Behind that type of O-line, you're trying to get the man decapitated. There are a lot of things wrong fundamentally with what the Lions were trying to do offensively, and I think changes did need to be made. We'll see if they have any impact on this team. I think at the end of the day, more changes may be coming. There's a lot wrong with what's going on in Detroit right now. They're searching for answers, and I don't think they have them. And that's a big, big problem right now with the Detroit Lions. We move on to the next match. A big win, though, before we do move on, for the Minnesota Vikings. Go on the road. They're now 4-2 on the season. They're right there keeping pace with the Green Bay Packers in that division. Packers are going to slip up, and I'm thinking it's coming week 8 on the road. Denver Broncos, I think they're coming. Their slip up is coming, and it's going to put the Vikings in a very good position, and they're hanging tough, and I like what the Vikings are doing. Somebody's got to step up in that division. Vikings look like they're going to assume that role as the team looking to try to chase Green Bay down for that crown in the NFC North. You move on to the Sunday night game. Sunday! Philadelphia Eagles at the Carolina Panthers. Let's start with the Eagles. Is it me, or does Ryan Matthews fit Chip Kelly's scheme a little bit better? They had the big run for a touchdown in the game. He seems to be a much better, more fluid receiver out of the backfield. I just feel like he fits this scheme so much better than DeMarco Murray, but that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing things. Sam Bradford continues to look out of place, and we can sit here and blame Sam Bradford all we want. The offensive line in front of him isn't that good. I don't think he fits this scheme very well. I think he's really out of place, but can anybody catch the goddamn football? That's probably the bigger question in this game, and I think really all season, they've let Sam Bradford down. This goes all the way back to week 1. That final drive where he throws the football to Jordan Matthews goes right through his hands into the waiting arms of the safety for the Falcons, and they win that football game. They've had trouble catching the football all season long. I'd venture to say, and I can't prove this, I can't confirm nor deny this, but I'd venture to say that the Eagles lead the league in drops from their receivers, from their skill position guys in general. I think they lead the league in drops. They had a ton of them in this ball game. They had a ton of them in this ball game. You can't win like that on the road against a team that's better than you are, and they had some problems. The defense made plays, man. They made plays. They picked Cam Newton off 3 times in this game. Offense couldn't capitalize. How many times were they inside the red zone and had to settle for field goals? How many times were they inside the 10 and had to settle for field goals? They just struggled offensively, and that's been one of the biggest issues with this Eagles team, is that they just can't get it together on the offensive side of the football. Peters goes down, your all-world left tackle. Was an ugly scene, didn't look good. He was down for a while. Turned out to be a back issue. We'll see what happens with him moving forward, but this was not a good performance by the Philadelphia Eagles. They hung tough on the road against a team that's superior to them. They had opportunities to win this game, and they just simply did not take advantage of all the opportunities that came their way. For the Panthers, the defense was flying around. Thomas Davis led the team in tackles. Luke Kuechly was right behind him. You got 5 sacks on the game. KK, what the hell has gotten into K1 Short? KK is out there. Oh, KKK, balling. 3 sacks in this game. He had 2 last week against Russell Wilson. This man is playing like a man possessed. If he could just get some help on the edges now, boy, oh boy, they got some stuff brewing along that defensive line with K1 Short playing the way that he is. The running game was outstanding. Awesome. Over 200 yards rushing, and the beauty in what they did on the ground in this game is that they spread the wealth around. You saw Mike Tolbert, the bowling ball fire hydrant, and they're getting it in and getting a touchdown and running guys over, carrying piles. Jonathan Stewart has continued to do what he's done all season. Again, the question with him has never been his ability to get the job done. It's been health. When he's healthy, the guy is a physical back that can get it done. You saw that in this game, another 100-yard performance for him. Cam had his little bit of running going on, and he chipped in with a few yards. So I thought there were a lot of guys doing some good things on the ground, over 200 yards rushing in this game for the Panthers. That's a winning formula for this football team. Let's talk about Cam Newton, though, because I think he's got to take the next step. And even though last week when they beat Seattle, that was a very, very big win for this team. It really allowed them to overcome a demon and conquer a demon that they've had with the Seattle Seahawks. That's a big win on the road against a Seahawks team that really plays good football at home. You're down big. You summons the strength to come back. All of that is great. But Cam did throw 2 interceptions in that game. He threw 3 in this game. He's got to clean it up. You know what I've seen from Cam, and what frustrates me with him is I want to see him become a passer. And what I mean by that is get the fundamentals of his game under control. His footwork is terrible. And what you see with guys with the cannon arms is that because their arms are so strong, they don't have to work on the fundamentals as much as a guy that doesn't have the big right arm or the big left arm or the cannon or the hose. Jay Cutler's the same way. His footwork is terrible. That leads to a lot of interceptions. Cam Newton will be in the pocket sometimes. He won't even step into a throw because he's got a rope and he can throw it a ton without stepping into passes and without getting a proper depth on his drops. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with his footwork, and that leads to me to some interceptions and some errant throws. You want to know why he's high all the time? Because his footwork is bad, and he throws from some weird angles sometimes. He's over here, and he's just. I want Cam Newton to focus on, in the offseason, this isn't something he's going to be able to do during the regular season, and he's probably not going to ever do this. He's probably going to be the guy that he is, but I'd love to see him work on the fundamentals, and more importantly, his footwork, because if he could just become a more accurate passer, he'd be so much better, and I think he'd take that next step in the league as one of the better upper echelon quarterbacks, because we already know what he does as a dual threat, and we already know how far he can zing it, and he can throw with the velocity of a cheese-throwing 101 mile an hour pitcher. I mean, that's not up for debate. What I want to see him be is more accurate with the football. That interception to Devin Funchess, I mean, yeah, the rookie should have caught the football, but that was out in front of him, stretching away from his frame, off his fingertips, into the hands of the Eagles defender. It was an inaccurate pass. That's one he's got to hit. He was open. So there's some things he's got to work on. But all of that said, they did enough to win this game. And that's all that matters. They stay undefeated at 6-0, get the win 27-16. Defense was outstanding in this game. Got stops when they needed them. But the Eagles failed to take advantage of opportunities. That last drive that the Eagles had, to me, summed up their evening. Third down, Sam Bradford looking to cut the fourth down deficit and down and distance in half. Throws the football to Zach Ertz on an out-breaking route. Goes right through his hands. That sets up 4th and long, 4th and 9 or so. And then he throws the football on another out-breaking route to the opposite hash to Miles Austin, who's got the first down. If he catches it, goes right through his wickets, and that's the ball game right there. So that's the Eagles game in a nutshell. They've got a lot of things to clean up. They lose 27-16 in this ball game, and the Panthers get the win, stay undefeated. Got another big one coming up on Monday Night Football versus the Indianapolis Colts. So more primetime football for a team that needs more exposure. I think this team needs to be seen by the masses so everyone knows what this team is doing. If they're playing great football, they get it done and go to 6-0. And finally, Monday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens at the Arizona Cardinals. Quickly, want to wrap this game up. I was wrong about this game. I thought the Ravens were going to get murdered in this game, but actually they hung tough, gave themselves a chance, which is what they've done all season long. They've been in ball games. They just don't know how to win. And it's surprising that they're in so many ball games because this team is really not that talented. They find a way to get it done and stay close, but they haven't had that it factor like they've had in the past where they find a way to get a stop or a turnover, or Joe Flacco makes the play at the end of the game. And I think that's just from a lack of targets. You go from throwing to your Dennis Pitta or even Owen Daniels, or one of those tight ends that you can trust, to Crockett Gilmore, who hasn't been bad this year, but he's Crockett Gilmore. You look at Steve Smith. He's a one-man gang right now. I mean, you're throwing the ball to Kamar Aiken. I mean, what are we doing here? And so that's the problem. They didn't expect Bashad Perriman to be out this long. I don't think you can even rely on this kid to play this year. He might have to be a project for next year. They stayed in this game, though. You had Chris Johnson getting off to a hot start. You had his 42-yard run where it looked like he was down, and then he wasn't down. I really don't know. I thought the officials really gave the Ravens a raw deal in this game. You had the ineligible receiver checking in and all that stuff, which he actually did check in the game. Did John Urschel. I mean, I just thought the Ravens had a couple of things not go in their favor in this game, but this is more about the Cardinals for me. I thought they should have run away with this game. They had opportunities, and they just didn't. They allowed the Baltimore Ravens to hang in this game. Catanzaro misses an extra point that keeps the game at 8, which was at 16 at the time, at 26-10. But we didn't know that it was going to turn out the way that it did. But just not making that extra point made it a 2-score game. Ravens end up getting a touchdown, getting the 2-point conversion, cutting it to 8, and making it a really wild finish out in the desert, but as the Cardinals generally do in late stages of the ball game, they found a way to get it done, especially when they're at home, and they preserved the victory 26-18. Was not pretty. I was not impressed with Arizona in this game. They've got to do a much better job of putting teams away. Normally they do that, and that's why I was so disappointed. They did it to Detroit, they did it to San Francisco, they did it to a number of teams this season where they just put the screws to them. They didn't do that in this game, and they barely come away with a victory. But a win's a win in the National Football League. 26-18. Cards go to 5-2 on the season. Ravens drop to 1-6 on the season. Ouch! This is a really rough season for the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to do it for the Week 7. Hurry! Up offense. Next time.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at In the Lab Room, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.